Right? So, good morning, everyone, or good day, everyone, should I say? Okay, so our topic for today has something to do with the pre-colonial way, its structure and way of living. So, we are down with lesson 3. Okay, so since we already discussed the different theories and recent studies concerning how people started to inhabit the Philippines, in this lesson, guys, we will discuss how those people live. Okay, we will tackle the type of society our pre-colonial ancestors. It is called pre-colonial because it describes the way of living before the Spanish colonizers arrive. Okay, so our topic for today has three learning objectives. Okay, so what are the learning objectives? First, to discuss the type of society Philippines had before the arrival of the Spaniards. Next is to establish a basic knowledge of the society in the Philippines prior to the changes brought by the Spanish colonization. And third, to connect the pre-colonial way of living to the type of society Philippines have now. All right. So, next slide. Yan. So, first and foremost, okay, before the arrival of the Spaniards in 1521 and their subsequent invasion in 1565, the people living in archipelago had already established their own civilization, guys. During this time, we should take note always that there was no Philippines yet. All right? So there was no label. That's why I told you last time that we should address the Philippines as an archipelago. Okay, we are living in an archipelago. Okay, and some of the people there are we should say Austronesian speaking people. Okay? Diniscuss din natin kung anong uri ng mga tao yung nandun before. May mga Denisovans, may mga um, yung Cordilleran type of people, di ba? Nandun yung mga Samal people, Samal related people, among others. Alright. So again, there was no label to the entire archipelago before the Spaniards arrived. In fact, the archipelago was composed of several forms of communities, okay, that had differing social and political practices. And for those communities, guys, for those located in lowland areas near riverbanks and seashores, the dominant form of community was called, ito na, barangay. Okay? So, barangay, back then, does not refer to a place but to a group of people. So, in Visayan language, or in Visayan dialect, it is called haop or dolohan. So, it is derived from balangay, which referred to the boat that transported the inhabitants to their settlements and usually composed of 30 to 100 households. All right. So, just like barangays nowadays, barangay referred to people themselves living together in a community. Okay? So, yun. Dapat yung tatandaan yun, guys, ha? So, a single barangay, again, is composed of 30 to 100 households whose inhabitants were closely related by blood. And a barangay was headed by who? Alam nyo to. Sir, yung kapitan po. Tama naman. Or sir po yung barangay po. Tama naman. Ngayon. Pero anong tawag sa barangay chief nila before? It is the datu. Okay. Not datu puti yun, nasa ano, nasa suka ah. Okay. Who is the datu, guys? He leads a barangay and promote its welfare and interest. Is he related to a king? No, hindi po siya hari. Hindi rin siya ang supreme power at that time. Okay. So, siya lang po ay naglilid sa barangay nila and pwede siyang mapalitan. Okay? Because he does not act as an absolute ruler because his powers were checked by the customs and laws of barangay. Ay, so sir, may batas na po pala ang barangay dati. Yes, meron na. The customary law and the written laws. Later on, we will discuss. Eh sir, sino pong katulong niya pagdating sa barangay? He had a staff to assist him composed of ministers, stock in collecting tributes, maintenance of jails, and communication with the people. Okay. So, yun. As you can see, guys, no, even way back the Spanish period, we have this kind of government na po. And this kind of government is independent. Okay, which means that there was no central government. But nowadays, there is a central government, di ba? Meron nga tayong ano eh, iba't ibang mga posisyon, di ba? So sa pinakamaliit, barangay, nandyan ang sa city or sa town, nandyan si mayor, sa province, nandyan si governor, okay, for the whole Philippines, nandyan ang Pangulo ng Pilipinas, okay, or the President of the Philippines. Sa mga congressional districts, nandyan din po ang mga congressman, as the case may be. But here, before, each barangay was independent. There was no central government within the archipelago. So, despite this independence, guys, no, some barangays form an ally. Okay, alliance, I mean, sorry. They they form alliance with the datus from different council to unify their decisions. Halimbawa, say for example, so si Block 1, they have their own datu. Si Block 2, Block 3, Block 4, they have their own datu. Okay, up until Block 7, may mga own datu yan. Now, in order for them to come in a unified decision, unified agreement, okay, with regards to how they lead their barangays, okay, they form an alliance. Okay, nagtutulong-tulong sila, nagsasama-sama sila. And from this, the most economically powerful datu emerges as a pangulo or kaponan, kapunuan, raha, and lakan. Okay, so I hope nagigets niyo yung point natin dito. Say for example, the most powerful datu among Block 1 and Block 7 of BSI, he or she will become the Pangulo, okay, of that particular alliance. Okay, so I hope that is clear to you. Okay, so there are three groups in a barangay, guys. So sir, what are those three groups? Okay, so in the communities, there were three types of houses. Okay? Ay, houses. Ah, sorry. Doon muna tayo sa three groups na meron sa barangay. Okay? So, sir, sino yung mga yon? Okay. So, number one here, guys, is the nobles. Okay? Who are the nobles, guys? According to the history, they are consisted of the datu, not data. So, sorry, typo lang yan. It is consisted of the Datu and his relatives belonging to the noble lineage. So Datu, Visayas, and Maginoo sa Tagalog. So they are a bunch of classists who limited the number of heirs through birth control and isolating their sons and daughters. Okay, sila yung nasa matataas na, uh, kumbaga, royal family. Okay? So, yon. The nobles consisted of the Datu and his relatives who belong in the noble lineage. Sabi ko kanina, no? So this group is considered the ruling class of the barangay who wielded vast influence. Okay? Due to their high position in society, makinig, okay? They guarded their lineage by making sure that they only marry only those who belong to their rank. Okay? So hindi po sila nakikipagrelasyon, okay, nakikipag-transact pagdating sa marriage settlements as the case may be, sa hindi po nila kauri. Okay? So if say for example, they will marry also those people who are in the lineage of nobles din. Okay? So, tandaan nyo yan ha. Next. The freemen. Okay? Sir, who are those freemen? Okay. Freemen, guys, they're the descendants of mixed marriage of nobles and commoners and dependents who earned their freedom. Commoners meaning to say, they're the personal followers and assistants of the Datu. They are the um, nasa normal, okay, na pamumuhay. Hindi sila nasa taas, hindi rin sila nasa baba, mas mababa. They are the Timawa or Maharlika. Okay? So I hope that is clear to you. So, yon. And at the same time, the free men were composed of offspring of inherently free people, descendants of mixed marriage and nobles and commoners and dependents who earned their freedom. They were personal followers of the Datu, whose role was to help him in activities that involved the welfare of the barangay. And these activities included agricultural labor, building of houses, and fighting wars. Okay? So, yun. How about the third, guys, no? Ito na yung, kumbaga, sa society. Ano yung mga mabababang uri, okay? They are composed of people who cannot pay their debts, captured in battle, or born to dependent parents. Meaning to say, they are the Uripon in Visayan language and Alipin in Tagalog language or Tagalog dialect. So, yun. There were instances that the dependent could be sold to other owners. Okay? So, pinagbibili po yan. Parang alipin mo. Sige, hindi ko na siya ganun kakailangan. Bilihin mo sa akin ng ganitong ginto. O, di ba? So, itong mga to guys, no, most of the time, they are those who cannot pay, okay, for their debt sa kanilang mga utang. Pag hindi mo nabayaran yung utang mo, there's this tendency that you will compensate for it as being uripon or alipin. Okay? So while they were often referred to as slaves, okay, it is a misconception to adequate the dependents as slaves from a Western point of view. Meaning to say, while it is true that we can classify them as slaves, but we cannot equate the dependents, okay, as slaves, okay? So the status of being dependent in a barangay was not permanent and could and once the service rendered to the creditor was already equivalent to the debt owed. Ibig sabihin nito guys, no? Say for example, I owed many gold bars or many gold necklaces or um, there is no concept of uh, money in cash pa before eh. So yun 'di ba, palitan pa ng kalakal, gold, silver as the case maybe. And kapag ang utang mo marami, okay, pwede kang maging uripon or alipin kapag hindi ka nakabayad. Now, what are you going to do is to pay for your debt by being an uripon or alipin. And once you pay your obligation, then pwede ka nang makalaya. Okay? So, meaning to say, it is not permanent. In other words, guys, the social stratification during the pre-colonial period was not strict. It means that the members of a group could move from one group to another given a certain circumstances. Okay. Tama po yun. Oh. For example, a particular barangay, they don't feel na safe pa dito sa place nito. They can find another place, okay, wherein they will inhabit it. Okay, so yun. So, since barangays were located in seacoast or banks of rivers, kasi nga dati, there were no mode of transportation by land, lakad lang, wala namang sasakyan, okay? So, most probably, they will use the rivers or the seashores, okay? Now, kaya doon sila naninirahan mas malapit, okay? There's been no evidence of wheeled vehicles or the usage of domesticated animal to draw heavy loads. Okay? And the road systems only existed during the Spanish period. Meaning to say, in the pre-colonial period, there were no evidence that states na meron na pong sasakyan or even the cattle caravans. Wala pa po. Okay? And it was actually the rivers and seas that connected the barangays to each other. It was through water that people transported trades, communicated, and expanded their population. Okay, strategically speaking, no? Or practically speaking na rin, mas mabilis makalakbay using boats, okay, as a mode of transportation. Okay. So, yun. Patandaan nyo yun, ha? Tatlo yan. Nobles, nandyan yung lineage ng Datu, okay? Freemen, ito yung mga normal na tao, they are the Timawa or Maharlika, they are the personal followers, and then, dependents. Yan, yung mga alipin. Moving on. So, there are three types of houses in communities. Okay? Parang ganito rin yan. Katulad ng kanina, may tatlong uri ng tao sa lipunan sa pre-colonial period. Ngayon, ganun din, may tatlong uri ng kabahayan sa communities before. So, the first ones were permanent wooden structures that can be considered as sort of townhouses. These houses are occupied by datus. Okay. So, yun. The second ones were cottages made of light materials occupied by the Timao or Maharlika or by ordinary people. And lastly, there were three houses used during wars. All of these houses were elevated off the ground on the posts and had steep roofs. Okay. Yun. Tandaan nyo yun guys ha. Oh, is there any question? So if you have any question, just type it or PM me. Okay? Type nyo sa GC natin so that we can discuss. Okay? So, next. Uy, ba't pataas? Yan. What are the laws observed in barangays? Yan yung kadalasang pwede nating itanong, no? Okay. Kasi, sir, kung wala pong central government, there were no attorneys, there were no policemen, there were no congressmen, there were no executive, legislative, or judiciary at the time. Sir, paano po nagkakaroon ng batas dun sa barangay? So, people in barangays did not act according to what they wanted. They weren't uncivilized. So, kung sinasabi nyo uncivilized, hindi po. There are laws that are being followed. Okay? These things are called customary or written. Okay? Sir, ano yung customary laws? Okay? So, those customary laws were usually passed down orally from generation to another. Ibig sabihin, these are the customs. Ito yung mga ginagawa na nila. No? Even if it is not written, they say for example, they are aware that bawal ang manakit, for example, or bawal ang kumuha ng pagkain. Hindi naman yung nakalagay sa uh, tawag dito. Hindi naman yung nakalagay sa, hindi naman yung written before, di ba? Yung mga ganung bagay. And it is passed down orally from generation to another. And one customary law observed during pre-colonial times was the unique position given to women in the barangay. They were treated as equal to men. Oh, di ba? So those are the customary laws. So you're going to ask me, sir, what is the uh, best way to describe a customary law? Okay. So, when you say customary law, guys, no, they were according to the customs or usual practices associated with a particular barangay or a set of circumstances. Okay? So, yun. It is not necessary that these laws are written. Okay? They're established by custom. Okay? Dahil lagi siyang ginagawa na nakasanayan na. Okay? Parang sa atin, di ba? Kapag ganito, magbibigay ako ng example sa classroom na lang. Okay. Sinabi ba, may batas ba na nagsasabi na bawal maingay sa classroom? Di ba wala naman? Okay. But, as a it forms part of the customary law that if a teacher or if a professor, or if a classmate is discussing, dapat hindi tayo nag-iingay so that we can hear the discussion well. Di ba ganon? So, it forms part customary laws. O ito pa, pag binigyan ka ng pagkain, what will you do? You will say thank you or welcome as the case may be. Diba? So those things were not being found sa written law. Pero dahil nakasanayan natin, these are parts, form part of our customs, yun. Yun yung mga tinatawag na customary laws. And during the pre-colonial times, okay, isa sa mga law na na mapapansin daw natin ay those women are treated as equal to men. So, pwede silang sumabak sa giyera, pwede din silang magtanim, okay? Kung ano yung kayang gawin ng babae, ng lalaki, kayang gawin din ng babae. If kayang maging dato ng lalaki, kaya rin maging dato ng babae, as the case may be. Okay? So next, sir, what are those written laws naman? These are the laws that made by datus and their advisors. In times that there were criminal cases, the datu would act as the hukom or the judge. Okay? Yun. Ginawa na siya. Next. Okay. Moving on, fashion in barangay. So in pre-colonial times, people had a sense of fashion which varied according to social standing, fashion, trends, and occasions. Okay? So para sa kalalakihan, the basic attire is the kanggan and a bahag. So the color of clothing had a meaning. Okay? So if a person wore a red kanggan, meaning he is a datu. And while those below the datu, they wore blue or black. Men also wore headgears called putong. So a red putong entailed bravery, kulay pula. Okay, in Visayas, the common male attire is only the bahag because walking bare-chested to expose status indicate masculinity. Okay? So for women, the basic attire was baro or kamisa and a saya. So it is a tapis. A long cloth was often tied in the waist. Okay. So there were no slippers or shoes during the pre-colonial period. So yun, no, kaya matitibay yung mga paa nila. So they all walk barefooted. Since gold was abundant before, men and women filled their bodies with golden ornaments and jewelries. Okay. So yun. Aside from that, tattooing, yung tattoo, it was a common practice for both men and women. Okay? Af yun, tama. It was a symbol of beauty. For men, it served as a proof of bravery and skill in battle. The more tattoos a man had, the more men he killed in a battle. Yun yung kinukwento guys ni Apo Wang-od in a documentary na napanood ko. Okay, no? Although Apo Wang-od was born, di ba? Siyempre, ano na yun, meron ng Spanish period nun, di ba? So, 100 years old na si Apo Wang-od. 100 years old plus. So, yun. Although, uh, kahit na meron ng Spanish occupation that time, napanatili nila yung kanilang mga tradisyon, kultura. Katulad nito, di ba? Sabi ni Apo Wang-od doon, if a man, okay, ay maraming tato, mapansin mo sa kanilang tribo or sa kanilang um, lugar, meaning to say, the more men he killed in a battle. Okay? Tattoos were only seen on the residents from Visayas, which was the Spaniards called Visayans Pintados. Okay. So yan. Beliefs and customs naman. Even before the arrival of Christianity, the pre-colonial people also had their system of religion. Okay? They believe in polytheism. Many gods, poly, ah. Okay. So, which means that they had more than one God to worship. For the Tagalogs, they considered Bathala as the creator of the earth and all living beings. He was the superior deity compared to other gods. Okay? So, yon, no? The population adored animals, plants, and all objects of nature as something to be respected. Okay. So, yon. Kanina, pasok tayo sa gender inclusivity. Kung kanina no, na-discuss natin na ang women, they were treated equally as men. Okay. Ganito din dito no. Kung makikita nyo, yung mga babaylan, they were considered as religious or spiritual leaders. It was a highly crucial role in the barangay as they serve as the channel to which the people could communicate with spirits and gods. Okay? Babaylans were of either sex. Okay? Ibig sabihin, mapalalaki, mapababae. But were usually women from wealthy families. Okay? Male transversities could also be babaylan. Transvestites pala are today's cross-dressers. Okay? So, yun. The giving of the role of babaylan to male transvestites indicate the level of respect and inclusivity to homosexuality during the pre-colonial era. Okay. Kaya sa mga nagsasabi na there were no homosexuality before, ngayon lang yan, mali po kayo. As you can see, even the Spanish colonial period, okay, they were these people called transvestites, okay? They are the today's cross-dressers, okay? So yun, as a respect and inclusivity to homosexuality during the pre-colonial era. So do you have any questions? Okay. So yun guys, no? I want you to finish the lesson 3, no? So pakitapos po yung activity 4, okay? Activity 6, activity 7, and activity 10. Okay? So, yun po lang yung gagawin ninyo for lesson 3 and it will be passed, okay, next week. So, if you don't have questions or if you have questions, just type it on our GC and let us discuss about it. So, thank you for listening. I hope that you learned a lot in this lesson. May God bless you. Okay, ingat. Bye-bye.